How's it going? My name is Jeremy Majors, and the company's name is Majors Academy Dog Training, and we are out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. And right now we are live on Facebook and YouTube, and this is Dog Behavior Q&A, episode 74, where you guys ask questions and we answer them. You can ask anything you like, dog related, doesn't matter. If you are a client, if you're a just a person watching, if you are a dog trainer, um, we will answer any and all questions. So feel free to ask as many questions as you like. This is more of a conversation type deal, so feel free to do so. Hi Shang, how are you? Hope you guys this Thursday is going well. Let's get to some questions. Okay, what does it mean when your dog goes first in their kennel? Things are good, then all of a sudden your dog is growling at you out of nowhere. You don't leave the room right away. Um, well, it depends. I would say on a few things. Um, one of which the answers that I give you are going to be secondary to what I think you should do. So the reason why he's doing that depends on a couple of things: how long you had him, if the behavior is coming from a fear side or just a bratty side. But you can alleviate all of that if you um, tell the dog to do something right after it gets in the crate. Okay, so what I would do if I had a dog that did that was I would leave the leash on or have some sort of adversive tool. You can start with a squirt bottle if you want. Pet convincer, doggy don't. But as soon as he decided to do that, I would either put him in a down, put the dog in a down, or if the dog decided to growl or bark, I would turn right around and um, give the dog a consequence for doing that behavior. But the best thing to do, the best way to do it is just to hold down or tell the dog to lay down, give the dog something to do. You can even tell him to sit because if it's nervous at all in that situation and you just tell the dog to do something, that growly crap behavior will go away. All right. So give the dog something to do. Thank you for your question. All right. Next question. I recently met an old foster at a park by a lake. She didn't recognize me at first, and then when she did, she rolled over on me and peed. So when we started walking, she started jumping up real high on me and nipping. I poked her in the back. I poked her and backed her up, but she kept persisting. I don't want to full on put her on her back. Suggestions. If your attempt to tell her no doesn't work, then you will have to up the ante some way. um, so one of the things that I do, I would grab her by the collar, put her in a sit, and just keep her there, keep the dog in the sit until the dog stops trying to squirm around, until the dog gets in a real calm mindset. Um, you could do that. Hi, Lise, how are you? Um, you know, or you can carry dog you don't or a pet convincer telling her no. When she does that, you got to give her something that she thinks is that's worth it for her to uh, to rethink her actions. And sometimes what you do is not enough, so you do have to up the ante. It's the same way as what a dog would do to another dog. If one dog jumps on another, and let's say growling isn't enough, then they may air snap or bark, and if that doesn't work, they may unfortunately resort into biting the dog. So you have to up the ante until the dog until you get what you want. Just mutual respect. You know. Oh, you better come out and hang this summer. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. And go do some bite work or something, eh? So that's what I would do. I feel like dogs jumping is the first thing that you should address with any dog because that can lead to many other behaviors. Excuse me. There's not a lot of dogs that come from that pushy, aggressive side that don't jump on you first. So if you want a dog, if you're experiencing a dog that's pushy and is aggressive, if you can stop behavior like jumping, there's a great chance that you will never get to the point where the dog thinks it's okay to bite. So, excuse me, got something in my throat. So yeah, so that's that. Um, I've got that video that I wanted to post up about that border collie, and I'll try and post it up soon. But the thing that's going to be difficult, cheers, Rory. The thing that's going to be difficult is trying to get a voiceover so I can explain to you guys exactly what's going on. The border collie is car, she likes to chase cars. But the tricky part is the dog is also very sensitive to the prong collar and tries to bite at the leash or whatever, at whatever. And so talking her through those situations is pretty tricky. And I want to show you guys if you guys have that, because I know last time there was a lady who was trying to work through a dog redirecting, which means when they see something they couldn't get to, the dog will turn and bite the handler. Yeah, well, we're talking about Maisie. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that video will help out some few. Oh, like the sweatshirt, eh? That video I think will help out a lot of people when it comes to there's people who have dogs struggling with cars and just walking on a leash. So, but that's typical border collie behavior. All right. Those are you on YouTube. Feel free to ask questions as many as you like. And you guys are watching on Facebook. Feel free to ask as many questions as you like. We'll be here for another good 45 minutes. So keep it up. All right. Next question. Okay, we've got new neighbors, and one of my dogs bark and charge the fence, and he did not do that with the old neighbor. Everything else becomes much easier after that. The introduction to the other dogs will be easier, and the introduction to your neighbor will be easier. Why? Because you're adding safety by way of structure when you're stopping your dog from doing that behavior. So I would again make sure you're controlling your dogs, and everything else comes easy after that. All right. Thank you for your question. Okay. Do you ever bait your dog, setting up a situation that you think will cause a reaction, and then using something like a doggy don't as a correction? I don't. I don't necessarily have to wait. I don't necessarily have to wait for the reaction to address the problem. Cheers, B. Um, I don't. I don't have. So there's a lot of trainers. Excuse me. There's a lot of trainers that think you have to have the dogs fight in order to address the dog becoming more social, and that's just not right. There's a lot of people who think you have to get bit in order for you to address biting, and that's just not right. So no, I never waiting for the actual behavior to actually happen, because I know the mindset before it happens and I address the mindset. So I'm not worried about the reaction. I'm worried about the mindset before the reaction happens, because it's much harder to even reach a dog while they are reacting. Like if it's already happened, it's much harder to reach them once they've already engaged in their in that behavior. So I try and just be proactive with their thought process, and the moment they think about it, then I'm stepping in, as opposed to allowing it to happen and then stepping in. Leaving blinds open so Vivi sees dogs walking behind them. Now that's fine. I I would do that. That's fine. Yeah. Um, because that's going to happen anyway. Like that blinds should be able to be open in your house. You should be able to do whatever you want in your house, and your dogs act the way that you want them to act. So, in that regard, yeah, that's fine. Okay. All right, Jeremy, have you ever taken two dogs that live together and are fighting and effectively rehabilitated them to live peacefully once again? Yes, I have. That is the best way to get them to live peacefully uh, in the future. Yeah, because what happens is their relationship is damaged. They don't trust each other, and they have to be able to spend time with someone who can separate them, gain their trust, and then bring them together step by step or very slowly, and so that they can, start to build a better relationship. Uh, Start to build a better relationship with each other. I had my last the case that always pops up in my mind is I had two male Rottweilers that were fighting in the home, this, that, and the other, and they just needed to spend time with me, and then also spend enough time with a very structured household to be able to start playing again. So, the owner sends videos of them playing now because their relationship has gotten so much better. But when they first came to me, I mean, they wouldn't even they didn't even want to get around each other. So there's definitely things that you as owners have to learn, but the dogs also have to have someone to intervene long enough for them to, you know again, develop that, let that play drive come out, and allow them to play with each other again. Excuse me. I'm going to introduce Vivi to our friend's dog Henry in the pier. Any advice? They have a large fenced-in yard. Uh, he's a calm dog. Yeah, I would just put the e-collar on Vivi, and press the vibrate button. I would say let Vivi go up to him, and then I would press the vibrate button. You know, just to go ahead and make sure you are letting Vivi know that you are in control, and you should stop that first initial tense moment. Intervene in that first tense moment, right? So she goes up and she's all like this, and then just keep your eye on her. Make sure she's listening to you at any point, right? Or incrementally, just say Vivi, call her to you, break her up. Make sure she's in her voice control, and you have the e-collar on her so that you can break her focus. But be there for her a lot in the beginning, and just don't let her get sassy. I wouldn't pet dogs, just in case Vivi gets jealous, but to ensure nothing happens, and then that can start on the right foot. That's what I would do. No, I mean, I wouldn't let her through I mean, I wouldn't. The fence may cause more tension than what you initially want. I wouldn't do it through a fence. I would either have her, if you have her drag a leash, if you're worried about her, um, and um, my biggest thing would be to control that other dog too, to really nip it in the bud. But but those first, 3 minutes, if they can be controlled, you will have much success with getting Vivi to accept that she can be introduced to another dog. Just be in control. If she gets sassy, you know, give her a consequence. Okay. Let me know how it goes. Keep me updated. Oh, okay. When Dusty goes nuts at people walking by and I make him go to his place, how long do you suggest I make him stay there? His attention span seems so short, and he will stay for a while, then just gets up. Should I leash him to his place? He tries to look out the window all the time. I would make him lay on the bed until he like falls asleep. Um, yeah, his bed would be where he needs to be until he's indifferent, until he stops trying to pay attention or stops trying to get up. Um, so that's my answer for you. He needs to be able to just chill on his bed like he's chilling when he sleeps. That's what I would do. Okay. Thank you for your question. Let's see. So, follow up question. Once they tolerate each other in a different environment, will bringing them back to their original territory possibly trigger old feelings? Yes, it would. It always does. But their old environment should change. It should start to resemble the environment that they had success in. And so, part of the process that we kind of set forth is giving you those similar, you know, changes to the environment that are going to be necessary to have success in your environment. Because yeah, old environments are going to bring old feelings, but those old environments shouldn't be, it shouldn't be the same. So the old environment should resemble the environment which when they were successful. Uh, so I hope that answers your question. But yeah, I tell people all the time when they bring back their dog, the dog's gonna think it's party time again because it's their old environment. But um, hopefully the owners implement the rules that we implemented, and you'll start to see that the dog takes to those rules as consistent as you can enforce them. So, thank you for your question. Feel free to ask another one. Henry needs to come visit you. He's an Australian Shepherd, loves his herd, loves to herd other dogs and kids, adults outside the family he avoids. Yeah, if Henry likes to herd, I don't think Vivi would like that. Vivi's kind of particular, um, but we'll see. We'll see. So, uh, I wanted to go over a little bit of something. Oh, kids, not dogs. Okay. Um, I wanted to go over a couple of conversations I had on the phone with people. I think it'll help just hearing me talk about it. So I want to talk about it. Let's see. Oh, okay. So you guys have heard me say this, but I really, really do believe in this. In that, many people call me, and they say that their dog is acting out and is being aggressive out of fear, um, and most of the time these are rescue dogs, and some of the time these dogs are, you know, have been in the home for 8 weeks, since 8 weeks, since the dog was 8 weeks, uh, since the dog was 12 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it was. And this one lady in particular spent a lot of money on training, um, and her dog had just recently snapped at a child over a frisbee. All right, and so this gets me to think about this thing, this one concept, and I think it holds true. So I made a post about it earlier, but if you are tougher on your dog day to day in the house and not so giving to your dog in the house, then the dog will be open to things that are outside of the house, where the dog usually acts sassy. They'll be more open to people. They'll be more open to dogs, situations, no matter what it is. If the dog is acting out on the outside of the home, you could be giving the dog way too much freedom pass inside the home, because there are dogs that come here, and I can tell the ones who are have structure in the house and who need more structure in the house. The ones who need more structure in the house usually don't eat for a day or two. They don't want to come up to me. They kind of avoid me. They think that I should come up to them. And they're also then, have separation anxiety. Versus the dogs who I see that have structure in the home. Those dogs are more open to accepting the new environment, less stressful in the new environment, eat right away. If not, one meal. So if you're seeing these reports from wherever you're keeping your dog or boarding your dog, if you want your dog to get along get along with the world, to accept the world better, if you want your dog to cope with the world better, you have to be tougher on them in the home. Because if your dog thinks the world revolves around them, then they are free to be sassy on the outside world, because they think they're the most important thing in the world. There's plenty of dogs like that. I've got this Alaskan Malamute. It's the same way. Every time I go into the training room, he's the one that stands up. So you can tell he's been treated like he is, way his owners accommodate to him so much more than the opposite. And so I say that, I'm gonna say this again. If you want your dog to better accept the things you want your dog to accept, the most important thing is how much freedom they are giving in the home. Because if you can be tough every single day, just meaning not meaning physically tough, but getting your dog to listen to you despite whatever it is that let's just say this: everybody should have the ability to call their dog and their dog come to them, especially just as simple as letting them outside in the bathroom, going to the bathroom. When you're ready for your dog to come in and you've known that they've been out there enough time to pee and poop, then they should come. If you give in to that dog, that simple giving into them right there, is they're allowed to do something, not allowed, but they're more likely to do something negative. So if those start adding up, the things that they are allowed to not listen to you, the moments they're not allowed to listen to you, or they're free to not listen to you, those add up, and then they're free to act out. Okay, so you have to minimize the amount of times where they say, I don't feel like doing it, and you actually give in to that. If you can start cutting down on those interactions, then your dog will listen to you when it counts. Because for one, your dog will be used to listening to you more, and your dog will be at a more humble way of thinking in general. Our dog is always trying to dominate us and tricks, any tricks to put an end to this. How is the dog trying to dominate you? In what ways? Let me see if I've got some more questions. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, um, yeah. Back what I was talking about. It's just like preparing children for the world. Dogs have to do something in order to better prepare them in the world. Just like children, they have to go to school. They have to go to for what? To prepare them for the world. It's not. It's like okay, you know, dog training, can be something that lasts 3 weeks in my case, or once a week, for 6 consecutive sessions or something like that, and then it be done. No, it shouldn't be quite like that. If you think about it from, what you would do with a child, they have to go to school to prepare them for the world. If they don't go to school, then they will be more likely to not be prepared for the real world and act out, just like dogs. So let's start with that. If your dog is acting out still in any way, be tougher with them in the home. They're not gonna shouldn't be in your bed, on the couch. If your dog is not listening to you in any way, that's not conducive to their benefit. It's only in their benefit to be tougher on them and to not be their friend, but they should be you should be their parent, long enough for them to see the world the way that you see it. Okay, started staring and barking and at us and climbing on us, sits on us, bites our hand, and he barks when you tell him to stop or no. So Sarah, make sure that you are giving him the proper exercise first and foremost. But secondly, you should teach your dog to go lay on its bed on command. And in order to do that, you may have to keep the leash on him. And your willpower has to be sort of trump his stubbornness, to get up. But basically, everyone in the house should learn how to command that dog to go lay down. But that's what has to happen. Give the dog a job to do when it gets bored like that. Either go get him some exercise and teach him to go lay on its bed and show him that he must do that. Okay? That's going to stop that, boredom behavior. Because he's just trying to get attention. So teach the dog just to go lay down on its bed. All right. All right. In regards to the dog staying out longer than they need to go to the bathroom, Maisie will sometimes come in when I tell her to. But if there's another dog out in the neighborhood, she'll run away from me and I chase her around the yard. How do I get her to come and listen? Well, by the time when you guys come pick her up, we can go over that. But yeah, you won't have that problem. Okay. But I'll tell you from a perspective of if your dog wasn't training with me. But what I would do, and this is what I'll be doing, as I'll let her out. I'll give her a chance to come, just verbally. I'll open the door. Maisie, come. And then maybe I'll say it again if for some reason she didn't hear me. Maisie, come. If she doesn't, I'm going to go get her. Even if I have to chase her around, I'm not going to stop until she gives me what I want. All right. And I will walk around and I will repeat myself, telling her to sit. Maisie, sit. And I will outlast the dog, just like what we did when you dropped the dog off. Her attempt to not listen to you, to not do what you ask of her, cannot work. And then it gets better from there. You won't have to go through this whole chasing thing or anything like that. She'll take your word for it. You know, the next time you'll be like, Maisie, come, and she'll be like, okay, I gotta come. You know what I'm saying? So just like our first interaction that we had, that was a great learning moment. If we take that and apply it to everything, then the dog will start to say, all right, I got to do this. Might as well take their word for it. It makes it easier. Okay. Glad you're watching. Glad you're here. All right. What are some of your favorite training exercises to practice with puppies? I like to teach them to come to me. So they already naturally are going to stick by you because they're puppies. And so one of the things that I do is I'll walk probably 50 yards this way, that way, and I'll turn around and I'll walk the other way. And I won't necessarily say come, but you know they'll naturally come to you, and you have a nice little treat, and you act excited, get high pitched, give them the treat, and just repeat that. Boom, over and over again, getting that dog to really get used to following you, and then give them a reward for following you, and get him used to lighting up when you sort of light up. Rewarding the dog for making really good choices. So I would go 50 yards, dog's following me, and then I turn around, dog turns around and decides to follow me. Then I get excited, bend over like you're getting ready to pet him with a high pitched voice. Good boy, good boy, good boy. Once he reaches me, give him the treat, keep it moving. Do it again. Um, that's a really good exercise. Teaches them come. It gets them excited, teaches them to get used to following you, all those cool stuff. It's a really cool exercise and one of the most important in my opinion, and a very easy one because the puppy's going to follow you anyway. So that's what I would do. All righty then. Folks on YouTube, ask some questions. It's all right. I had a, I had a, so I definitely do think that people when they first get a new dog, that it is their attempt or their perspective or um, their goal to be friends with the dog. And I've had a couple of calls this week that people have gotten new dogs and the dog's already acting out. Whether it be 3 days, 3 weeks, something like that. And I have to say that um, it's not you should not your goal should not be to be friendly with the dog. That's not going to create security, um, the right type of security. So it will obviously they'll be okay with you knowing that you're not there to hurt them, but you also need to let the dog know that you are there to guide them. Okay, so I don't go into any situation with a new dog trying to say hi, trying to pet them. I don't I don't necessarily have to even like them, but my goal is to um, be the person that they can um, respect. So the respect is what I want. Um, and depending on what kind of dog you're working with, you take the approach differently. If I'm working with an aggressive dog that comes from a I can attitude, then the first thing I'm doing is getting respect from the dog. If I'm working with a dog that is aggressive from the mindset of I have to act aggressive, then I'm giving space. So there's two sides of the coin, right? Um, Sometimes they can be intermingled, right? But the bratty side, the bratty aggressive side, and the fear aggressive side. And so With the bratty aggressive side, I do think that they are the more dangerous dogs because they lack respect for any consequence. There hasn't been a consequence. They haven't met a consequence that is strong enough to have respect to not do it. For example, many of you have followed the story of the Great Dane that really, really bit someone bad. Okay. Um, the Great Dane was bought from a breeder, uh, been in the home since 8 weeks. Um, Perfect home conditions, but the dog thought it was okay to bite someone that bad. Okay, that just wasn't out of nowhere, right? Everyone focuses on the dog biting someone, but what else was what else in that dog's life did the dog think it was okay to do? Everything, everything in that dog's life, it was okay. Jumping on people, um, no boundaries, zero to no boundaries in the home, nothing. And so let's just deal with the jumping. If you if you have not taught your Great Dane to not jump on people, that's a big problem. If a Great Dane thinks it's okay to jump on you, sky's the limit with what he thinks is okay. That's what makes a really dangerous dog, in my opinion. So, um, when you're dealing with a dog that has that way of thinking, they are more dangerous than the dog that is fearful. Because the dog that is fearful only wants space, right? The dog says, "I want to bite you only if I have to, and I just want you to give me some space." You know, if you give me some space, we're good. But I get so many calls saying that the bratty aggressive dog is unpredictable. Yeah, he can be unpredictable because there's nothing stopping him from being unpredictable. Like the dog can bite whenever it wants, whoever it wants. Yeah, that's unpredictable, sure. Uh, so the first thing that I do so I'll tell you what I do with both sides of those dogs, right? So bratty aggressive, fear aggressive. If I'm dealing with a dog that's bratty aggressive, the first thing that I do is take space. I want to be able to move the dog because a lot of people call me and they say, I, I ask him to get off the bed, he growls and bites. I ask him to move, he growls and bites. I ask him to get off the couch, growls and bites. Okay. So the first thing that I'm doing with those dogs is claiming space right away. All right. So we're in the backyard. I want the dog to move away from the gate. I'm putting myself in between the dog and I'm telling the dog to go, move. Okay, so first good step in getting a dog to realize that it's not okay to bite you. And that's not addressing that in its entirety, but it's a first good step, claiming space. Okay, because the bratty dog sometimes will challenge you in that regard. So have something to protect you. But with a fearful dog, if I'm in a yard with a fearful dog, I'm immediately just giving the dog some time and space. Because the bratty dog doesn't need time. The bratty dog will come right up to you because it assumes you're like everyone else. And it can do whatever it else. That Great Dane jumped on me when I first met the dog. And I had to let that dog know that that was not okay. You know, big time. And that's how you avoid him thinking it's okay to bite too. So, I've been dealing with that. Everyone calls me and says my dog's unpredictable, and it comes from fear. I disagree. If a dog is free to be unpredictable, then the dog may be biting and be aggressive because it's allowed to be. And again, you will have dogs that have both. But more than likely, if the dog has been in the home for over, let's just say a year, then you can almost guarantee that the dog is feeling like it's okay to do it and definitely has some bratty behavior. So if you guys have any questions about what I just said, feel free to jump on and ask some questions about that. I've been thinking about that a lot lately with the phone calls that I've been getting. Okay, Kathy says Dozer, for the most part, is trained to potty outside. He goes by the door, but sometimes he will just stop and go pee. Um, no going by the door, no warning, like making circles or sniffing, other than he's still a puppy and I should be faster anyway. I can stop this. I put him out every 45 minutes to an hour. How old is Dozer? Melissa says, what do you do when you're letting the dog know it's not okay to do something? There's many ways. It depends on the dog. Let's get that glare. That didn't help. It depends on the dog that I'm working with. Dogs that um, there's dogs that are very sensitive. There's dogs that are not so sensitive. It depends. There's many ways you can correct a dog. Like I was telling this lady who has a husky who she can't get off the bed without the dog trying to, start to show his teeth, bite, and whatever it may be, air snap, whatever it may be. And I was like, take a broom and poke the dog off the daggum couch. Say move until the dog does it. When the dog decides to bite, it'll bite the broom and see that the bite will not work for the dog, and then it will move for you. So it does. It just depends on the dog. But there's a lot of tools that will work for you. But the bigger problem is if the dogs attempt to manipulate the situation in your favor or in their favor, then it works, then they're going to continue to do it. So somewhere in that husky's life that we were just talking about, the husky's on the couch, someone backed off in this husky's life when it started to show its teeth, barked or growled or whatever it did. So you have to show the dog in that circumstance that all those behaviors aren't going to work. And you should still get what you want. If you want the dog off the couch, get the dog off the couch. Once the dog realizes that that the barking, the biting, all that stuff doesn't work for them, then they'll take your word for it. I mean, I say firmly no and pick him up out of the. All right, so the 5-month-old that pees in the house, listen, if you have to go outside with him, right? I would take the dog and be outside with the dog until I seen the dog pee and poop or whatever. And if the dog doesn't pee and poop, then the dog should go back into the crate and not have free roam of the house, because you shouldn't allow the dog to have free roam of the house if the dog hasn't peed and pooped. If the dog hasn't peed and pooped outside. All right, so you can put him back in the crate, try again in another, I don't know, hour or so, or whatever it is. But I would dictate when the dog goes out. I wouldn't do it every 45 minutes. That's a little excessive. But what you have to start to learn too when you do crate your dog is learning when he's crying to go out or if he's just crying for attention. And you can only kind of learn that if you stick with it, being consistent with the crate. So if the dog is peeing in the house and all that stuff just yet, then I would go back to the crate. You don't get bit even when working with bratty dogs. How do you claim space from unruly human aggressive dogs without getting bit? You have to protect yourself somehow. I can use a corunda bed or a pooper scooper or something like that. I don't even have to touch the dog usually, with whatever I'm working with. It can be whatever, all you have to do is claim that space, put voice pressure on the dog, and, but put something in between you and the dog so that the dog will bite whatever you're putting in between them, in between you and the dog, um, as opposed to your body. Okay. Thank you for your question, Jen. Glad you're here. Uh, okay. So yeah, just remember this, guys. Dogs are going to do what is convenient for them if it's allowed. They're kind of self-centered. So we have to be selfish as well. Let's have them accommodate to us as opposed to we accommodate to them. They can be happy. They won't love you any less. If you start to be tougher on them, it'll be more beneficial for them in the long run. Tougher you are in the beginning, then you can have that friendship level, a relationship. But you do have to be parent. You have to be their parent for long enough. And then you can start to be their friend. And when the rules are understood, the boundaries are understood. All right? You guys have any last questions, comments, opinions, whatever it may be? Just like kids. Exactly. Just like kids. It should not be our goal to be friends with our dogs. It should be our goal to get respect from our dogs. Friendship comes afterwards. Safety comes with structure, not friendship. Okay? So even if you have a dog that's very fearful, the approach should not be to feed him cookies. The approach should just be to add structure. Structure provides security, and security creates trust. You're welcome, Kara. Thank you. Um, so, so yeah, that's that, guys. All right, I'll catch you guys next time. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a heart. I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for hearing me blabber about dogs. I really enjoy this. Hope it helps out. See you guys next time.